All right, so are you ready for this? We're going deep, deep into the world of, well, video game challenges, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
We're checking out this YouTube video by DougDoug. He's a creator. He's known for, taking on these crazy, difficult tasks in games.
Oh, yeah. He comes up with some really interesting stuff.
You've probably heard of Grand Theft Auto 5, right? GTA
hmm
5.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's that massive open world game where, I mean, you can pretty much do anything. But what DougDoug does is he takes that open world and he kind of makes his own rules.
Yes, like it builds a whole new game on top of the existing game.
Exactly. And this challenge is like the perfect example of that. Okay, so imagine playing GTA 5, but with this crazy twist. DougDoug has these voice commands, so he can just spawn all sorts of things like rocket launchers,
Oh,
ramps, even like black holes.
black holes, really?
Yeah. It's wild. But there's a catch, of course. He can't say the word cop at all.
Oh, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, cop is like the forbidden word. If he even says it, boom, instant 5-star wanted level, which means basically the entire police force is after him.
And for those who haven't played GTA 5, that means helicopters, SWAT teams, roadblocks. It's insane.
It's total mayhem. And get this, it actually gets worse every time he says it. So the police response, like, escalates with each slip up. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down how he even attempts to do this thing. We'll look at his skills, the role of his custom voice mod.
Right, because that's a huge part of it.
Huge. And I think maybe the most unpredictable element of all, the live interaction with his Twitch chat.
Oh, yeah, the chat. They can be a wild card.
They can make or break him. It's this crazy mix of like strategy and thinking on your feet and, trying to predict what's going to happen next.
Like he's got to understand the psychology of the game and the psychology of the community all at the same time.
Exactly. And, right off the bat, Doug runs into some like really tricky situations. Early on, he's got this incident with a helicopter. He sees the word personal in the chat, and without thinking, he's like, personal helicopter.
Oh, no.
And that's when you realize just how deep this challenge really is. It's not just about avoiding the word cop, it's about avoiding any word that even sounds like it.
It's like a minefield.
Totally. And it's not just the obvious traps either. Like, there's this other moment where a viewer asks about a copper watch.
Oh, sneaky.
Boom. 5 stars, cops everywhere. It really shows how much this challenge depends on Doug's ability to adapt, right? Like he's got to be constantly analyzing everything around him, filtering his thoughts, making split-second decisions.
And all while keeping this one totally random rule in mind.
It just makes you realize how even a simple rule can become super complicated, especially in a game like GTA 5.
Especially with the chat, like you were saying. They're a huge part of this whole thing. Always messing with them, offering suggestions.
It's this constant back and forth, Like, they're trying to help him, but they also kind of want to see him fail spectacularly.
I mean, that's part of the fun, right?
Absolutely. And they're always throwing out these tricky words like Copenhagen, hoping he'll slip up.
Yeah. Or they'll try to disguise cop in, like, normal phrases, like fun content. That could be dangerous.
So dangerous. It's such a unique dynamic, between a streamer and their community. It's collaborative and competitive at the same time.
And it's really interesting to see how Doug handles it. He doesn't just react. He comes up with strategies.
Oh, yeah. You can see that in, like, how he chooses his vehicles. For example, he goes with the motorcycle a lot. Obviously, he wants to be fast, agile.
Makes sense. You got to be able to get away quick.
Right. But as we see later, that comes with its own risks. Motorcycles are like super vulnerable. You hit a ramp, you're flying, and those cows in the game.
Don't even get me started on the cows. They can be a real pain.
So we've got speed, agility, vulnerability. He also tries the bus, which is all about brute force.
Not exactly known for its handling, though.
Not at all. And then there's the supercar, which seems like kind of a compromise.
He's trying to find the sweet spot between speed and durability.
Yeah. It's almost like he's treating this whole thing like a military operation, right? Planning his moves, choosing the right equipment.
Adapting on the fly.
It's amazing. And this is really just scratching the surface of what makes this challenge so compelling. It's this constant interplay of skill and luck and the unpredictable nature of, well, the game and the community.
Exactly. You never know what's going to happen next.
And that's what keeps us coming back for more. Right?
Absolutely. It's addictive.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork. We've got the challenge, the rules, the players. Now let's dive into some of the highlights, the close calls, the moments that made this whole thing so unforgettable.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So we were talking about Doug's approach, how it's like a tactical operation, And something that really stood out to me was how he learns and adjusts based on what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. He's constantly analyzing the situation.
There's this one part where he gets through this crazy section, dodging cops, explosion, like it's nothing.
He makes it look easy.
I know, right? You think he's got it, he's mastered it, and then bam, he gets tripped up by the word crop, of all things.
Crop. What happened there?
He needed to use it for, like, a visual setting, I think.
Oh, God.
It just shows that this challenge, it's not just about being quick.
No, it's mental. It's being aware of every word that comes out of your mouth.
And he has to do that while processing everything that's happening in the game, reacting to the chat. It's insane.
Talk about a mental workout.
I know, right? And speaking of the chat, they add this whole other layer of, like, chaos.
Oh, they're a huge factor for sure.
They're supporting him, but they're also, like, constantly tempting him to mess up.
It's like they want to see him succeed, but also fail in the most spectacular way possible.
It's true. And it's so interesting how that dynamic plays out. Like, when Doug starts using the black hole command,
Oh, yeah, that was wild.
the chat goes absolutely nuts. They start throwing every word they can think of at him, anything with black in it. Black coal, black pole, even Back in Black, the AC/DC song.
I remember that. They were relentless.
It's like these little gremlins trying to make him slip up, and he knows it.
Oh, yeah, he's totally aware of what they're doing.
But he still manages to resist, most of the time at least. It shows how focused he is, how much control he has.
It's like a psychological test,
Yeah.
Resisting temptation, staying focused, not cracking under pressure.
Exactly. But it's not just the chat trying to sabotage him. There are also times when the voice mod just kind of does its own thing.
Cricket has a mind of its own.
Right, like that moment with coffee. He's just talking about how he likes his coffee black, and boom, 5 stars, cops everywhere.
The coffee incident, a classic.
It just shows how even the best tech, it can still mess up sometimes.
Language is tricky, right? There's so many nuances, even machines can't always get it right.
So true. But you know what I love? Through all of this, all the setbacks, Doug just keeps his sense of humor.
He does, doesn't he?
He gets frustrated, sure, but he never, like, rage quits. He always makes light of it.
It's inspiring in a way, right?
Totally. It shows how you can be resilient, how you can laugh at your mistakes.
And not take yourself too seriously.
Especially when things aren't going your way.
Exactly. And, it's not always about trying to trip him up. Sometimes the chat is genuinely supportive.
Yeah, there are these really sweet moments where viewers share their own stories, how Doug's content helped them.
It's a reminder that these online communities can be really powerful.
Yeah, they can provide this sense of belonging, support, connection, even if it's just through a screen.
It shows how important human connection is no matter where you find it.
It's definitely more than just a gaming channel, it's a community.
And Doug is at the heart of it. He's funny, self-aware. He seems to genuinely enjoy the challenge, even when it's driving him crazy.
So we've talked about the strategies, the chat, the tech, but I think there's this bigger question, what is it about this challenge, this whole no cop thing in GTA 5 that people find so fascinating?
That's a good question.
Why do we care?
I think it taps into this human desire to push boundaries, We love stories about people who do the impossible, who make their own rules and then try to master them.
It's like watching a tightrope walker. The stakes are high, one wrong move, and it's all over.
And in this case, the tightrope is language, and the safety net is non-existent.
But there's also this playfulness to it, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Doug isn't taking himself too seriously, and neither are the viewers.
It's about creativity, resilience, the joy of just trying things out.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most rewarding experiences come from embracing the unexpected.
And finding the humor in the tough times.
And I think that's so important, especially in a world that can feel really serious, really structured.
It's good to remember to let loose, be silly, embrace the chaos a little.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those memorable moments, because there are so many. The Butthole Saga has to be one of the best examples of the chat's relentless pursuit of chaos.
Oh my God, yes. They were obsessed with getting him to say that word.
From black hole to Back in Black to even talking about wrinkles, they tried everything.
It's amazing he held out as long as he did.
I know, right? And he knew exactly what they were up to. At one point, he even says, "You guys really, really, really want Butthole to work."
It's that self-awareness. He can step outside the game and acknowledge how ridiculous it is.
He's not just playing the game, he's commenting on it, on the chat, on the whole situation. It's like performance art.
And it's hilarious even when he's failing miserably.
Like that time he's in the supercar, feeling good, and then someone in chat says, "My engine is dead," and he just panics.
Oh, I remember that. You could feel the tension.
It just shows that danger can come from anywhere in this challenge, even a random comment about heart troubles.
And then there are the cows.
Oh, the cows.
Yeah.
The chat loves to spawn those things.
For good reason. They're hilarious obstacles, especially when you're trying to outrun the cops.
And they can also be incredibly frustrating, especially when you combine them with ramps.
I've seen him get stuck in some pretty crazy cow ramp combos.
Like that time he had to abandon the motorcycle because he was trapped. He switched to the bus, determined to power through it.
He almost made it, too.
I know, he's barreling through the countryside, cows are flying everywhere, and then he says, "Nitro boost."
And it's all over.
The look on his face, the chat erupting in laughter, it was perfect.
A classic DougDoug moment.
It just shows that even when you fail, there's always room for humor, you know? And sometimes the journey is more important than the destination.
And Doug's journey in this challenge is definitely one for the books. He's tried everything. The motorcycle, the bus, the supercar.
He's learned something from every attempt.
But the question is, can he put it all together? Can he find a way to combine his skills, his strategy, and his ability to avoid saying cop to finally beat this thing?
And it feels like he's getting close, you know, with each try. Like he's figuring it out.
Yeah, he's definitely learning from his mistakes.
He's refining those strategies, even trying some pretty out there vehicles.
Yeah, remember when he tried the golf cart?
The golf cart. Clearly speed wasn't the priority there.
No, not at all.
It makes you wonder, like, was he going for the low profile approach? Hoping the cops would just, I don't know, overlook him?
Maybe. It's Doug. Doug, anything's possible.
It didn't work out, but oh man, watching him try to outrun the cops in a golf cart, that was pure comedy.
It's those unexpected moments that make it so great.
Exactly. And it reminds me of what we were saying before about the coffee incident and how even the voice mod itself can be so unpredictable.
Right, the tech adds this whole other layer of chaos to the mix.
It's this weird mix of technology and human behavior, and it's fascinating.
It creates these situations you just wouldn't see anywhere else.
And let's be real, those quirks, those little moments of like tech gone wrong, they're a big part of what makes this whole thing so entertaining.
They keep you on the edge of your seat.
You never know what's going to set off the cops next. Is it going to be a word, a phrase, some random sound?
It's like he's turned the game into this giant puzzle, and we're all trying to solve it along with him.
And the chat, they're right there with him, adding to the chaos.
It's a group effort, for sure.
So we've talked about a lot, you know, the Doug strategies, the role of the chat, the close calls, the funny fails. But I think it's time to step back for a second.
Okay.
What's the bigger picture here? What can we learn from all of this whole no-cop GTA 5 challenge?
I think at its core, it's about play. You know?
Play.
Yeah, it's the reminder that play is important, not just for fun, but for learning, for growing, for connecting with others.
That's interesting.
Doug, he might not always win these challenges, but he shows us how to embrace the messiness, to laugh at our mistakes, to keep trying new things, even when it's hard.
That's a pretty powerful message.
And his message that applies to everyone, not just gamers.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, no matter what you're doing in life, there are going to be challenges.
And it's about how you approach them, you know?
So next time you're facing something tough, remember DougDoug.
Remember to get creative, don't give up, and try to find the humor in it all.
And sometimes it's not about the end goal, it's about the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.
If you want to see this whole crazy adventure for yourself, you gotta check out DougDoug's YouTube channel. It's worth it, trust me.
It's definitely a unique experience.
And before we wrap up, here's a little something to think about. What's your impossible challenge? Something you've always wanted to try in a game, in real life, anything.
How could you use your skills, your support system, to make it happen?
Keep that in mind as you go about your day. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been fun.
Until next time, stay curious, stay playful, and don't be afraid to embrace a little chaos.